Your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude determines how far you will go in life. Organizations get rid of people with a bad attitude because they are seen as a drain on the organization, as they tend to bring down the morale of other employees. They are considered as a roadblock to the success of the organization. Employees who have a bad attitude tend to be less productive than those with a good attitude. Their bad attitude can be contagious and disruptive to the organization as a whole. From an organization standpoint, a bad attitude is like a computer virus. Just like a virus bringing down the entire system, the bad attitude of one employee could kill the efficiency of the entire team. During behavioral interviews, employers look for candidates who have the right attitude and mindset to do the job. This is why we often see employers look for young, energetic people with the right attitude and mindsets, though they may not necessarily have the experience and the skills to do the job. Skills can be taught, and experience comes with time. But it's very hard to teach an employee to have the right attitude because that's a matter of personal choice. You choose to have a right attitude. This is where the experienced and subject matter experts who've been in the organization for a very long time stand to lose to the inexperienced and young employees. This is why inexperienced and young people often hold coveted positions that other experienced and subject matter experts are unable to attain. The difference lies in their attitude, which comes by choice. Attitude is such a critical factor in life. By choosing to have the right attitude, you position yourself to huge breaks and go beyond the realm of mediocrity to great success in life. You could have many setbacks in life and still choose to have the right attitude. Your attitude and choices go hand in hand. You choose your attitude that determines your thoughts, which produces actions. Every day, you can choose to wake up with a good attitude, one that will fill your mind with pleasant thoughts. Setbacks may arise, but with the right attitude, you can allow these stumbling blocks to have a very minimal effect on you. You can be deprived of great opportunities in life just because of your wrong attitude. Here is a classic example of the correlation between attitude and choice. Your boss gives you an assignment that is beyond your comfort level. What do? You can either refuse it or you can accept it and attempt the project with determination and give it your best shot. What do you think would be more impressive? It really doesn't matter how much you know or how eloquent you are. What matters is your attitude. And this is precisely why you will see a lot of people benefit more from their attitude than from the skills they bring to the table. A good attitude is what distinguishes an employee who exceeds expectations from the one who is merely successful or fails to meet expectations. When the world sees you as worthless and pitiful, you can either choose to get sucked into that thought, or you can tell yourself that there is tremendous potential locked within you and start believing in greater things. You determine your worth, and in so doing, you control your destiny. I remember the time when as consultants we were asked to give a presentation to a small group at a consulting skills workshop. Up until then, every time we had to give a presentation, my friend Nancy would become very nervous. Her hands would become cold and her throat would become so choked that she could hardly speak. It was pathetic to say the least. She struggled with these pathetic episodes for a very long time. Nancy later told me that when she was asked to do this assignment, she felt that she wouldn't be able to perform well. As much as she wanted to overcome her fear, she still avoided every opportunity to present. as the thought of going through that anxiety made her sick to her stomach. However, Nancy knew that to be able to take the next step in her career, she would have to learn to overcome her stage fright. On the day of the presentation, she chose to take that first painful step, which she knew would be critical to her success as a consultant. As the time drew near, the paralyzing, agonizing fear began to grip her, but she had made up her mind that this time it would be different. Nancy took a deep breath and reminded herself that there was immense potential and greatness within her, and all she had to do was tap into the power of that potential. She reminded herself that she was meant for bigger things in life. That very moment, she felt stronger and felt the measure of her power within. Nancy by then had overcome her fear. At the end of the presentation, the instructor told her that she was a great presenter. Nancy was thrilled and excited. All it took was a paradigm shift in her thinking, the right attitude and resolve to overcome her anxiety. Often, we miss great opportunities in life and fail to reach our full potential because we choose not to take that first step of faith and move forward. We refuse to take ourselves past the initial pain of crossing the barrier, and we allow complacency and fear to paralyze us into a zone that we begin to call as our comfort zone. To overcome life's barriers and live a life without limits, it is crucial that we choose to have a good attitude. Thanks for watching. This is an excerpt from my book, Choices. Life brings emotional mountaintop experiences as well as deep valleys. But what sustains us through the ups and downs is a good attitude. You can choose to have a good attitude in everything you do, no matter where you are and what you do. A housewife, for example, can choose to have a good attitude and always wear a smile when her husband and children come back home after a long day, despite the fact that she may also be stressed out and exhausted. The same applies to the husband. Despite the stress at work, he can return home with a good attitude and choose to not let his problems at work stop him from spending quality time with his family. As obvious as it is, it's a matter of choice. It is easier said than done. But the thing about life is that it is these careful choices that sets us apart and determines the quality of our life and the lives of those around us. The temptation to surrender to the feelings of despair and frustration can often be overwhelming. But with caution and self-control, we can choose to have the right attitude. While giving in to the temptations may seem easy, the consequences of giving in are costly. Exercising caution and self-control may be difficult initially, but once you prevail over the initial anguish of changing patterns and habits, you will realize the exhilaration of having made the choice to maintain a good attitude. Whether you choose to participate in gossip or to rise above those trivialities is up to you. You can choose to live a life to show off to your neighbors and friends, or you can free yourself of such cares, rising to a higher level of thinking and choosing to live a life that is most fulfilling to you and to those around you. Your choices will be based on your value system, and that will carve out your destiny. You can choose to live in fear and anxiety, or you can choose to walk in the audacity of faith, believing that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Observation of the life of a faithful Christian provides an example of choices made to shape attitudes and create habits that will guide him through trials. In the midst of life's difficult circumstances, a faithful Christian chooses to trust and praise God for the situation that he is in, believing that his Creator has the best plans for him. Over a period of time, this becomes so much of a part of his character that every time he is faced with a tough situation, his subconscious mind prepares him to praise God, and he is able to do so effortlessly. When you choose to have a good attitude in life, it changes the way you view life, people, situations, and every problem you face. When you choose to have a good attitude, there's a shifting that will take place within you. Your focus shifts from negative tendencies and gravitate towards what is right and positive. And your focus will move away from what is irrelevant to what is relevant. Have you ever felt isolated or singled out? Your choice of attitude in this situation will dictate whether you are affected by what people say or think about you and whether it bogs you down. When you are around people who are controlling and dominating, you have the power within you to choose whether or not to let them control your life. You choose whether to be controlled or not. You determine the boundaries. You can choose to draw the line and not let others draw the line for you and confine you to a box. When the world treats you as worthless and pitiful, you can either choose to get sucked into that thought, or you can tell yourself that there is tremendous potential locked within you and start believing in greater things. You determine your worth, and in doing so, you control your destiny. Often we miss great opportunities in life and fail to reach our full potential because we choose not to take that first step of faith and move forward. We refuse to take ourselves past the initial pain of crossing the barrier, and we allow complacency and fear to paralyze us into a zone that we begin to identify as our comfort zone. To overcome life's barriers and to live a life without limits, it is crucial that we choose to have a good attitude. Matter of fact, there's a healing power to a good attitude. When we have a good attitude towards life, it heals us of our wounds, hurt and pain, and it allows us to live a carefree life. It allows us to rise above the disappointments that life throws at us and live each day to its fullest, enabling us to consider the immense possibilities that life has to offer, that each day has to offer, without which life would be wasted in the cares of the world, walking through the wilderness and lost in the confusion and frustration of what we see around us. A good attitude is music for the soul, and it allows us to enjoy this beautiful creation and the beauty of each day as it unfolds. Thanks for watching. This is an excerpt from my book, Choices. Atmosphere. We create the atmosphere we want by the choices we make. By choice, we create the atmosphere we want in our homes. By choosing to have a disciplined life, we create an atmosphere of discipline around us. Whether it's love, peace, or joy, we are responsible for the atmosphere we create. Oftentimes, we tend to overlook this fact of life. Our children are influenced by the atmosphere that we create for them at home, and they go out into the world and create an atmosphere that pervades them wherever they go. Creating an atmosphere of love and care in our home allows our children to feel loved and cared for, which will boost their confidence and give them a sense of self-worth that will empower them to love and care for others, which in turn will create an atmosphere of love and care wherever they go. This will help them to develop a sense of confidence and self-worth that will enable them to be better. This will also give them a sense of confidence and self-worth that will enable them to be better students at school and improve their overall educational performance. Children will also benefit socially by building long-lasting relationships by creating the same atmosphere of love and care around them. On the other hand, when we fail to create a loving and caring atmosphere at home, we create an atmosphere of worthlessness and low self-esteem. If we create an atmosphere of fear, strife, and violence at home, we are more than likely to produce those traits in our children. The consequences of that will be they will go out into the world and create an atmosphere of resentment, anger, and bitterness around them, making them vulnerable to drugs, violence, shooting and killing, and overall incompetence at school. This can be disruptive to the school, and as they become adults and walk into the society with this baggage, they will carry a self-destructive and incompetent atmosphere that will permeate their lives wherever they go. They are then bound to indulge in criminal activities that will take them down a path of destruction unless they choose to come out of it at some point in their life. But once the choice is made, the commitment to stay focused on this choice is necessary for the change to come into effect. In life, there are certain right choices that come very naturally to us, and we make those right choices very effortlessly. But then there are certain others that do not come easily to us, and we learn right from wrong only after having been through a couple of bumps here and there, or only after having experienced the consequences of those actions. Of course, life is not perfect, and none of us are perfect. We all have our own share of issues that we need to work on. With that said, sometimes these traits of anger and fear can grip our lives so much that it will not only keep us from reaching our full potential, but it will also take us down through a vicious cycle of failures and disappointments in every area of our life, be it in relationships, at work, or whatever we embark on. And when this happens, you find yourself looping through a vicious cycle of failures and disappointments until you begin to trace its origin and learn to make the connection between your failures and your poor choices. This process may be painful, draining, and time-consuming, and it may require a lot of effort and time. The time lost in such a cycle may squander away some of the very best years of your life. And this is why it is so important that as parents, we choose to create an atmosphere of love and care that will empower our children to become better students, employees, and citizens. And when we make that choice, we are making ourselves to be responsible for that choice and its resulting consequences. Wherever we go, we create an atmosphere with what we say and how we say that can empower us or harm us. With the amount of competition in the corporate world, it can be very difficult to create an atmosphere of trust and partnership in the workplace. But we can choose to create the atmosphere we want by the way we handle situations. By being friendly and willing to help your peers, you win their trust and partnership, just as you would have to work in collaboration with your clients in order to build long-lasting and trustworthy partnerships. This may not always come easily, and it might take a while before you win the trust and partnership of your teammates, especially if you're new to the organization. However, in order for an employee to thrive in an organization, it is vital that he or she chooses to create an atmosphere of partnership, trust, and collaboration. On the contrary, if you portray an attitude of indifference, you may come across as unapproachable and soon find yourself isolated, rendering it hard to survive or continue in the organization. Your choice to be unapproachable not only creates an unhealthy atmosphere around you, it also affects the overall health of the organization, because every employee is an integral part of the organization, and the success of an organization is codependent on the success of its employees. In some cases, depending on the value that an employee brings to the table, based on his experience and in-depth knowledge and subject matter expertise, managers might overlook some of the shortcomings. In today's corporate world, however, where soft skills and teamwork are becoming increasingly important, your survival becomes difficult if you choose not to create an atmosphere of trust and partnership with your teammates. While this holds true for employees, the responsibility lies squarely on the management to ensure that they create an atmosphere that fosters partnership and trust within the organization. While competition is inevitable, corporations today value the importance of partnership and teamwork as keys to thriving in a fast-growing, competitive industry. It is critical that we realize this so we can start to build the right connections early on in our career rather than to have burned bridges before finally learning from our mistakes. I recall how the motto of Capgemini, one of the big four consulting companies I worked at, was collaboration. People would say, Accenture would do it to you, IBM would do it for you, and Capgemini would do it with you. Capgemini functioned in collaboration with its clients, which was a unique concept in itself and very welcoming in the consulting world. If you look at many of the wonders of the world, such as the Taj Mahal, Eiffel Tower, or the Great Wall of China, they all came about as a result of partnership and teamwork. Although the technology that was used then may not have been as sophisticated as what we have today, there still had to be an atmosphere of trust and partnership which enabled them to partner together in building those magnificent structures. Wherever we go, we have to make the choice to create the right atmosphere around us. Even in the communities that we live in, we have to choose to create an atmosphere of goodwill and neighborliness in order for our children to grow and develop those social skills that will shape their personality and determine who they become. On the contrary, if you choose to be indifferent, you will create an atmosphere of detachment and aloofness which will infuse in your children a value system that is negative and unsustainable, making them misfits wherever they go. This is why it's crucial that we pay close attention to the choices that determine the atmosphere that will pervade us. Being raised in a wealthy family, I did not learn this early on in life because I had it all and grew up thinking that I didn't need anyone. But as I began to step into the world to build a life for myself, I realized how critical it was to cultivate these qualities in order to create the right atmosphere around me. Thanks for watching. This is an excerpt from my book, Choices. will definitely have its own consequences. Parents, by choice, have to find the time to talk to the baby and offer daily lessons on language and speech. Without this, the baby may experience speech delays and consequently lag behind in social and interactive skills, leading to more consequences. In most cases, parents who are highly educated might want their children to grow up like them and may have similar expectations from them, or in some cases, even higher expectations. It's important for those parents to choose to cultivate reading and other rewarding habits very early on in the life of the child, which will help them to excel in their studies. Giving their children these learning opportunities early on in life require consistent, informed choices by their parents, such as choosing the right school. Without those regular, informed choices, children can fall short of the expectations of their parents. Notice how the choice to make the effort must be consistent as well as informed, because informed choices are made after a proper evaluation of all the tools, techniques, and facts needed to make them. Making informed choices all along the way and in every aspect encompasses the atmosphere that pervades his child, the environment he grows in, and other factors that influence a child, such as a circle of friends. If the atmosphere that pervades the home where the child lives is not conducive for his growth, it will have a negative influence. For example, despite the desire of the parents to give their best to their child, and regardless of all that they do for her or him, contention between parents or an atmosphere of strife and tension will have a negative influence on the child's growth and personality. It is very important to ensure that the parents and their children are all on the same page in terms of the vision and the goal that they have for their children. If the child is not fully aligned with the vision and the goal that his parents have for him, or if they do not complement each other, then their efforts will be wasted. So it's crucial to ensure that there's common ground and shared goals and objectives. Each child being different, it is important for parents to use tools and techniques that will suit their children. Any decision made on the basis of obsolete information, assumption, or inaccurate analysis would again defeat the purpose. Secondly, and most importantly, the effort must be consistent till the goal is attained. Although, toward the later stages, less parental effort would be required, the frequent checkpoints would still be required all along the way. Many parents start off strong. They set goals for their child and have a plan in place to help the child achieve his goal. They work with the child to set clear direction and provide the right tools and resources to make the goal achievable. But somewhere along the way, consciously or unconsciously, their priorities change, they lose track, and they drop the ball on the child. And when I say drop the ball, it isn't that the parents don't care anymore. It's just that they no longer choose to make the effort or find the time to make informed choices. Or it could be that they are not having those frequent checkpoints to ensure that things are going smoothly and that they are all tracking towards the same end goal. When this happens for a prolonged period, in some cases the child may lose focus and fail to stay on track, which then comes as a surprise to the parents because they've been under the wrong illusion that things were going great. This is why, as parents, it is not enough that we have the desire to see our children do well in life. It is not enough that we have the best interest in our minds and provide some initial support and guidance and then take a passive role. This is a story of Bubbly, a friend from my school days. Bubbly was extremely talented and had great potential. Bubbly's parents had very high hopes for her and sent her to the best school, thinking that they had given her everything she needed to do well in life. Although they had the desire and assumed that they had done everything they could, that wasn't good enough. It is not enough just to have a goal. This is what most folks often fail to realize. A goal has to be accompanied by a plan that makes the goal achievable. And there should be proper checkpoints or checks and balances in place to ensure things are tracking well. Also, it's important to make sure that the plan is not so rigid that it cannot accommodate minor changes whenever and wherever necessary. My friend Bubbly did pretty well in school in the beginning. People saw that she had great potential, but somewhere along the way, she lost her focus. She lost interest in her studies and began to fail many subjects. I knew nothing more of her story until years later. One day, we ran into each other at a restaurant and we began to catch up on our lives. Before long, we were in deep conversation, and she told me her parents were very disappointed in her and how she had failed to meet the expectations and the high hopes that her family and friends had for her. Our conversation ended with her telling me that she wanted to get her life back on track. It was a happy surprise when we met again at the business school. I was really happy to see the change that had come upon her. Eventually, we both finished our MBAs and went our separate ways. For many years, I had no news from her while I was preoccupied with my own busy life. We met again at a friend's party, and as we were catching up, she told me about her marriage, her short successful career, and an unfortunate series of both professional and personal failures. She mentioned how her life was once again in a mess. She told me that over her years of growing up, she felt neglected and grew into adulthood with a low self-esteem. The sad part of her life was that she did not know what it was like to have a loving, trusting relationship with anyone. The circumstances in which she grew up, plus her poor choices, led to a series of terrible consequences. She told me how after overcoming her initial trauma, things had gotten better for her. Her parents had become more engaged in her life, and their love, support, and guidance had helped her to make some good choices, and therefore she was able to get her life back on track. But soon after marriage, she lost it again. It was one thing that her parents were no longer involved in her life, another being that she was unprepared to face life's challenges. I parted with my friend once again, hoping that things would turn around for her. Bubbly's parents were involved in the early stages of her life and had great plans for her, but they had lost track somewhere along the way and failed to make informed choices on a consistent basis. As parents, it is very important that we choose to be cognizant of what is going on in the lives of our children. It is not enough that we have a good plan for our children. We need to make consistent choices to make sure that they are tracking in the right direction. Thanks for watching. This is an excerpt from my book, Choices. As parents, it is normal for us to have high expectations from our children. But then the goal doesn't always have to be a big one. Even if the goal is as simple as wanting the child to grow up as a God-fearing child or as a good citizen, we need to ensure that our children are mingling with the right crowd and that they are being exposed to wholesome entertainment. It is important for us as parents to direct our efforts, time, and priorities to illustrate to our children that their parents are their companions who will always be there for them. As responsible parents, we have to teach our children the core factors of any relationship: trust, love, and support. And how do we do this? By way of role modeling. And it's a conscious decision that a parent has to make on a consistent basis and follow through along the way. Knowingly or unknowingly, if the care and support is withdrawn for a long period, the consequences will ensue. Children often carry the burden of mistreatment and neglect. And a child who is neglected could get into serious trouble and end up having many issues in life. Such children might grow up carrying a baggage for the rest of their lives, burdening not only themselves, but even those around them and everyone who enters into a relationship with them. The haunting reality of a child's upbringing is underscored by the alarming rise in school shootings. And today, in the US, this is one of the biggest issues haunting our children and parents alike. Thousands of young children go to school every day in fear, not knowing how the day will turn out to be, wondering who's going to be the next one to take to guns and who will be the next in line to get shot. Both children and parents alike are paranoid and feel paralyzed by the uncertainty. This makes it critical that we enable our children to make informed choices by educating them on the various choices and their consequences and helping them to be cognizant of their surroundings, thus instilling in them a value system that will enable them to choose right from wrong. And the earlier and sooner we instill those values in them, the better. Teaching our children to pray at a young age and introducing them to the faith will give them a perspective on God, on who God is and what to expect from God. And it will give them a perspective on right versus wrong. This will help them in their growing years to stay on track and not be confused. Teaching our children to lean on God during times of trouble is one of the most valuable gifts we can give to our children. And that's the biggest legacy we can leave our children and our grandchildren. As parents, we should speak blessings on our children, encourage them, and build them up so that they can grow into confident adults. A lot of parents have very rigid and conventional ideas of loving and disciplining their children. A man or a woman who is confident and secure in who they are and who has had people build them up is more likely to form successful alliances, networks, and relationships in life. And by the same token, a man or a woman who is lacking in confidence is someone who was not appreciated or built up in his growing up years. And such a person is likely to be less successful in life and in relationships. Thanks for watching. This is an excerpt from my book, Choices.